We've done a few Porterverse stats episodes so far, and all of them have one thing in common so far. Every engine we've covered is a steam engine, and I think it's time to cover a diesel engine in this series. And I know just who to cover. Welcome to the Porterverse stats episode all about BoCo. BoCo is a pretty cool character, both in his character's nature and just overall. It's got a great design, has a very unique outline, making him stand out amongst most other Thomas characters. We Thomas fans absolutely love this guy, and have memed him into oblivion. We'll go through the character's general timeline and any modifications and also any details surrounding those mods over time. So without further ado, let's dive into the technical side of BoCo. It all began in the late 50s. Metropolitan Vickers delivered their diesel-electric Type 2 engines to British Railways. One of these was D5702, who called himself BoCo. The first of his class to give himself a name, matter of fact. BoCo did a lot of mixed track work in his original condition. He was a stock center class 28. The exact same as his siblings, all engine stuff and faults as well. BoCo would often take trains to Sodor during this time, and he would meet the other engines there. Most famously getting jumped by Bill and Ben, and later saving Gordon one day. BoCo would get to know the engines of the bread and branch line during his visits most commonly, notably gaining the attention of Sir Charles Hatt. Sir Charles was the former chief mechanical engineer of the Big City Railroad during his time across the pond, so he knew his way around engines and how to correct any design faults. He decided to take it upon himself to study BoCo and figure out why he didn't work, and try to fix him, as he never tried diesel designs before and wanted to try it. He also just wanted to help BoCo as well. BoCo's design faults would haunt him more and more with each passing moment. The breakdowns became more and more frequent, even after being refurbished by Metropolitan Vickers. It was ultimately that blasted engine design that plagued his performance. Eventually, British Rail had enough of the Class 28s and began withdrawing them for scrap. BoCo happened to be on Sodor when this was announced. Sir Charles held the scrap order in his hands, somewhat shaking, and burned it over his ashtray. "We never received this," he told the diesel. And he vowed to make BoCo new again and design him a new engine just for him. From that day on, Sir Charles spent most of his time trying to design a new engine for the young BoCo. For almost a full year, Sir Charles spent all of his time either fighting British Rail in the courtroom to save his region's steam engines, or scribbling blueprints for BoCo in his office, desperate to save the engine in the long run. In the summer of 1968, the northwestern region of British Railways was deemed independent from British Rail, and was its own railway again. By this point, Sir Charles Hatt was worn out, and was finalizing his design for BoCo. After a few weeks, Sir Charles Tom Hatt handed in his design for BoCo's new engine, and his resignation. He would retire after this. BoCo's new engine would be the final gift of Sir Charles Hatt. After some time in the works, BoCo finally emerged as a working engine, now in northwestern green as well. His Crosley engine was completely replaced with a custom design by Charles Hatt himself. It was pretty much the same for the most parts. The Crosley was used as a basis, although most of the faults were corrected. In fact, all of them were corrected and just mostly eradicated. Disclaimer, I don't know anything about diesel engines, so if anything doesn't make sense, just let me know. I don't know anything. Whatever Sir Charles did, it worked incredibly well. BoCo's tractive effort went up to around 51,000 pounds per force. His horsepower jumped from 1,200 to 1,300 horsepower, and even his top speed saw an increase. It went from 75 miles per hour to around 82 miles per hour, and his old top speed was now comfortable for him to hit. His new engine was basically a Crosley Plus, if you know what I mean. BoCo was now a properly working engine. So much so, the number of breakdowns between then and as of now, 2026, is still in the single digits. It's pretty crazy. Now by this point, you're probably all thinking, well gee, Fire Porter, if BoCo was fully fixed in this AU, What about the IRL preserved Class 28? Well, you see, Sir Charles never publicly released the blueprints for his improved Crosley engine. The Northwestern Railway maintains exclusive rights to it. And also the legality of the design is kind of gray, as it involved the basis of the Crosley engine, so that's a little weird there. But the owners of D5705 have been trying to work with the Northwestern Railway and get those designs released. Although we don't know anything about that just yet. But who knows? Why not we might see more than one fully working Class 28 on the rails again. But that is for the future to decide. And that was BoCo stats in the Porterverse. Nothing too crazy, though it was fun to explore the technical side of a diesel for a change, as opposed to all these steam engines I've covered so far. I had a lot of fun making this one. It's pretty cool. Thank you all very much for watching this episode of Porterverse Stats, and I will see you all same time next week.